Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how we control the weeds out here on the railway. So weed control is very important for a couple reasons. First being tie life. Weeds hold water, and if your ties are surrounded by weeds, then they're going to rot prematurely. So we try to keep things under control for that reason. And also the other big reason is crushed weeds are about as good as any grease as you can find. If they get on the rail, then your wheels get coated, and anything that's trying to provide traction is not going to be able to do so. And with some of the grades that we've got out here, weedy track just would make it impossible to run. Now, if you look at some of the older videos from many years ago that are on this channel, you will notice that we were not always great about weed control. In fact, there was a period of time where we would mow the track, and to be fair, that's kind of how a lot of the interurbans used to be. I've even seen in Europe where, there's tramway tracks laid through grassy areas. Aesthetically, it looks very nice. But out here, it's a problem because of the hills. And so, we went through a period where we would mow the track. That was very labor intensive. At one time I was going to build a mowing device that we could just pull behind the car and mow that way. Ultimately, the solution is to spray them. Not a solution that I 100% like, but it is the most effective. So in order to do that, we have a tanker car, weed spray car here that I made. And if you look at some of the older videos, you will see the original iteration of this car, which was two 55-gallon drums that were welded back to back. And we used that for, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so. Finally, those barrels rotted out due to the corrosive nature of the weed spray. It's impossible to get the tanks clean at the end of each season, and eventually they just rotted out. So I procured this plastic tank a few years ago and modified the car to accept said plastic tank, and also further modified the spray boom and whatnot. This pump that's on here is the original pump that I've had since the very first tank car, so it's been here for quite some years. And this is just a swimming pool pump. The reason I chose this kind of pump is because it's made of plastic. Pool chemicals are known for their corrosive nature, so I figured, hey, if it can handle a bunch of chlorine, it's probably good with the weed spray. So to get into kind of how this car operates, so there's a water inlet. This is where I take on fresh water, which I draw from the nearby creek here. We've got a valve to limit the access to this, and then there's another valve here which is tied to the bottom of the tank, which you can see right there. So when we're drawing water to fill the tank, open this valve, close this valve. The outlet of the pump, which is here, goes up to the top of the tank. There's a valve right here that I will open, and then the water will flow basically, this way through the pump, up here, and then into the tank. Now when it comes time to spray, close this valve, open this valve so that we're drawing the water out of the bottom of the tank right there. And the return valve to the tank would then be closed, which then pushes the solution up here, and it goes through this filter, very fine mesh filter. It's a finer mesh filter than the openings of the spray nozzles. That keeps the nozzles from getting plugged up. from any debris, because I do suck out of the creek. There is some dirt and other things that end up in this tank. This stops them, but it flows through here, this hose, and which comes up to the spray boom. Now the spray boom is comprised of 6 nozzles, and these nozzles provide a nice wide spray pattern, so we get a lot of coverage with them. Everything up here is plastic, again due to the corrosive nature of the chemical. Originally this boom was made of steel pipe, and even though I have the little filter there, the nozzles were still getting plugged up because of the pipe, the boom pipe itself was deteriorating and plugging up the nozzles. So since I've changed this to plastic, no more issues with that. So the outside nozzles are turned a bit outside, so that, and you can see in the right of way here kind of the pattern that we have, and you can also see what it would look like if we didn't do this. Now it is the end of season. Typically I will only spray out here in the spring. I'll do a full spray once everything starts to germinate, and then I'll do a spray, just a spot spray, usually this time of year, in August. I'll do a spot spray just to cover some of the areas that regrow. Most of the track will not regrow once I spray it in the spring, and that's partly because of our tree canopy here keeps everything very shaded. But there are areas, for instance, and you can see right here where this has started to regrow, but out here in this part of the line where there is no shade, then the weeds tend to come back towards the end of the year. And I'm kind of looking into the sun, but down there you can see it's getting pretty weedy. So I'm actually this year just going to do a full respray, so that way we're 100% good for the rest of the operating season. There are areas that I like to spray, like around the substations and things. I can't get to, obviously, with the track. So for that, I have this little hand nozzle right here with this hose. Then what I can do is shut off the valve to the boom, and then open this valve to the hand sprayer, and then I can just walk around and spray whatever needs sprayed. Now this pump is operated off of the power supply that is on the steeple cap. It's plugged in right here. Just got a standard plug. Just plug that right in, and then I've got a toggle switch up here on the controls right here for the auxiliary power, so I can turn that on and off and control the pump. So if I get to an area where I don't need to spray, I can just shut it off. The other thing that I do with this is whenever I spray, I always pull this car, so that way I am away from the spray, and also I don't run over the sprayed area, because that stuff sitting on the tall weeds, when you run over it, it gets into the mechanism under the car. So we don't want that. But yeah, we're going to fill this car up and get started spraying. Got the suction line hooked up here, and we are filling the car. You can see here in the tank, water coming in. I forgot to point out that I also have this little hand pump on here, and I use this obviously in the wintertime. I have to drain everything out, so in the springtime, of course, there's no water for the pump to work, and this pump has to have water in order to pull water. So I use this little hand pump to draw water out of the creek, put some into the tank, so that the pump can start working. So once I get the car filled with water, Then what I typically do is let this kind of circulate for a little while to make sure that everything is mixed up really well. So I just open that valve, and the pump just sucks out of the bottom of the tank and returns it to the top of the tank. And I usually do that for, you know, maybe like 10 minutes or so, just to get everything mixed up real well. So yeah, we're ready to spray now. Don't know if you can see the spray pattern there, but that's what it looks like when we're in operation. So yeah, that's how we control weeds out here on the RRVT. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends to check it out, and we'll see you next time.